chair next to a bathtub.
What do you guys want to talk about tonight?
Well, little update on my end. Kind of like super early phase. Oh, Andrew.
Since you were talking, I decided to share you.
There we go.
The screen.
Okay. So super early phase or stage of at least just like getting the motion game examples going. Just getting them running locally and then getting them onto my phone, because like trying the accelerometer stuff just doesn't work. You just like basically have to rake to a device, I think. Have you guys ever done any sort of like iOS simulator stuff and been able to simulate accelerometer stuff?
I haven't tried, so I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Okay. And then also trying to get my friend's system all set up for that. The one thing that I think is going to be helpful, which is something I've never done, is a wildcard. What are the provisioning profile? Have you guys done a wildcard one before?
Nope, I don't think so.
Okay. It's like basically so you don't have to create a new provisioning profile every single time you have a new app that you want to, you know, like rake to a device. So you can just like, anything that's like eliduke.com or what is it, com.eliduke. something. I forget the
reverse domain.
Yeah, it's like the reverse. But I think that's going to be helpful because it'll allow just like really quickly playing around with things, like really easily raking bunches of different projects to a device pretty easily. But sort of at the point where it's like it's running on my machine, it's running on his machine, it's we're raking to our devices, and basically like getting it to the point where then he can kind of start playing around, because he's definitely like new to this realm. So getting it to a place where it is easy for him to just go in and poke around and not have to really fully understand all of the like setup and all that kind of stuff. So at that point now. So it's pretty cool. It's like, you know, I was clicking around on your little walking examples and stuff. Looks great on the phone. What's the status on that, like walking, like changing the sprite different directions and stuff like that?
That is working. At least walking from right to left.
Yeah.
Up and down, not so much, but.
Okay, so like a backwards, like that he like the sprite could like turn around and walk straight backwards.
You usually need like different sprite animations for those directions.
Yeah.
Just flip this, especially up and down.
Mm-hmm. Did you Andrew? Did you implement that on in motion game yet? I know that you were sort of working on the guts of that a little bit.
Yeah. You want to see the motion game code that had to be implemented?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay.
I honestly haven't been working on motion game too much the last few weeks. But it seems like there's been a lot of progress on the repo getting things pulled in. So
yeah, just all of a sudden started getting a little bit more activity.
Some PRs and stuff from other people?
Yeah.
Well, that's easy.
Yeah, there was a big one. I can just walk through those because there were some really nice ones that got merged in recently. That was adding support for additional Cocos 2D actions.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like a few basic actions, but Steve, I think that's his name, he implemented all these different actions that
Look at all that.
Cocos 2D supports. Rotate by, rotate to, jump by, jump to, scale by, scale to, skew by, skew to, fade out, fade in. So like all these different actions that hadn't been implemented yet.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool. That got merged in finally.
Nice.
My pull request for flipping a sprite. So that was what we needed in order to make the I was just setting on the screencast here. In order to get our sprite to walk the other direction without having to create a whole new set of sprite images,
right?
We can just use this property to set flipped X or set flipped Y to flip it.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of calling it set flipped X and set flipped Y, which was
confusing,
not as a Ruby-esque approach to it, we implemented flipped horizontally and flipped vertically.
Okay, so it's like past tense. It's not like do this thing now. It's like
the
callback sort of.
You're setting, instead of saying like set flip, you say set flipped, but flipped horizontally instead of flipped X. And actually, I noticed that Watson here has been adding a bunch of commits to Motion Game, and one of them was adding an alias, adding some aliases to that, those methods that I implemented.
Wow, that's a lot of commits. I haven't looked through them.
Yeah, a lot of commits recently.
Oh, what are these? Are these commits to these all been merged?
Flipped X and flipped Y. So he's got aliases now for the flipped horizontally and flipped vertically. Cool. So whichever one you feel like using.
All right. Oh, we got another participant.
Oh.
Hello.
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 I recognize your avatar from Slack.
Classic.
What's your name?
Maybe his mic isn't working.
I hear you.
Okay.
No worries.
Uh-oh. Turtle's all the way down.
Well, welcome.
Yeah. Welcome to the party.
Meetup here.
Okay, so then what does the implementation of those new Sprite things look like?
Yeah, so we were just talking about some of the updates to Motion Game, some of the pull requests that have been merged in, and one of those pull requests, which is really helpful, which will help us in creating our game here. You see this? Is the font big enough for you to see here?
Yeah, let's get on my end.
Let's see. Motion Game samples. So You see that okay?
Yeah, looks
The,
good on my end.
Yeah, that's good.
This add character method is getting a little long here, but on touch begin. Well, let me show you what it can do first, and then we can go back and. Let's see the game examples. While that's compiling, there's a few other features that I added in here to make it so that previously when you moved the character, you tapped on the screen, they would always jump to that location in 1 second. So it wouldn't matter how far away it was. They would always be going, like if they were close, they'd move really slow. If it was far away, they'd move really fast. So now I made it calculate the distance and set a constant speed so that they're always moving at the same rate, regardless of where the location is on the screen.
Whoa! What is this math that you're doing? What is this math object?
Math. That is. Well, I guess that's one of the core Ruby
Really?
classes that has been implemented in RubyMotion.
Yep.
So I'm getting math.square root. So I'm using the square root method to figure out what the distance is from the point where I'm currently at to the point where I tapped on the screen.
Holy shit!
This is just
Position X.
just
You can turn back now.
What's
some basic math here, Eli.
what is ABS?
The absolute.
Absolute value.
Okay.
So if this was negative, then it would be positive.
Okay. Okay. And then what's times times?
I think that is square root, or not square root.
Yeah, it's the
To
power.
the power of 2.
Okay.
So the Pythagorean theorem is a
Right.
squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Right. Right.
So in order to figure out the distance, we take the x and y
Mm-hmm.
difference.
Wow.
And
Fantastic.
so once I've figured out how far away it is, I divide it by 150. 150 was just like the number that looked right when I was testing it.
Okay.
What's going on with this here? Failed to locate a valid instance of core simulator service in the bootstrap. Adding it now.
Right.
Weird.
I've seen that before. I think that means you have to. There's some process that needs to be restarted or something.
I'm just going to try again.
Yeah.
I quit the simulator this time. Maybe that'll help.
It looks
All right,
better.
the next thing that's going on here. Oh, yeah, there it goes. See, here we've got flipped horizontally if they've moved left. So moved left is if the new location x is less than the current location x.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool.
Left from right, 0 is on the left side, and it's going to be a higher number on the right side. So if I clicked on the left side, then that number is going to be lower than what it was on the right side.
So then what about like if you want to flip them back the other direction?
Then this would return false, and then that would set flipped horizontally to false.
Oh, so flipped horizontally equals true, just like does the flipping.
Yeah.
And then
If it's true, it means flip the sprite If it's false, it means don't flip the sprite.
Oh. Or flip it back, sort of.
Yeah, flip it back to what the default position.
Yeah, I think this is part of like motion game that's interesting for me is that there are these things that just happen. You know, like you say flipped horizontally equals true, and then it just does it, right?
Yes.
It's like part of the loop or part of the tick or whatever of the game. Just like when you set that, it just does it. There's no like refreshing, you know, because the game is sort of constantly refreshing.
I see what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the magic part.
Yeah, it's like the game is like always refreshing. It's like always redrawing the screen at all times.
Yeah.
So at any moment, you can just like reset something and then it gets redrawn and then it just does it. It's interesting.
Hey, all right. Finally,
Yeah.
simulator going now.
Okay.
So the walking sprite example here. Now I have it so he's not walking when you first
Ooh, look at that.
He's stopped.
Nice.
And if you click close, he walks there. If I click far away, he walks at a constant rate.
And then stops.
Yeah, and then stops once he gets there.
Oh, that's amazing.
And if I click somewhere else, then he immediately changes direction.
Yeah.
Because before the clicking would kind of queue up. So if I clicked here and then I clicked over here, it would
Yeah, he's still
it wouldn't walk in the right direction. It would never end up at the right point because it was constantly calculating it based on, like, there was some I don't know, information left over from the last click.
And stop all actions, that's a freebie that we get?
Yeah, so that's actually what makes it all work. So at the very beginning, I say stop all actions. So that cancels any moves that are in progress since our destination has changed. And then now we have our new location. We calculate the distance where we're going to figure out the speed and whether or not we've flipped the sprite. And then we move to this new location.
And so is there an order of operations here where you say like flipped and then you say move to and then you say animate?
Well, it shouldn't matter. It should happen basically at the same time.
Okay. Okay. And what is this fix me you've got there?
And then I've got, so I'm saying move to this location and now start animating this the sequence of frames here, the walking animation, which before I was just animating up here at the top.
Okay. Okay.
When we first loaded on here, but now it's walking when we tell it to move. But yeah, the fix me is now when I start this animation, I say run it forever, but I don't tell it when to stop running this. I don't say that. Well, so that's what this code down here is for. When you get to where you're going, the walking should stop. The walking animation should stop. So what I have here is I run this action with a delay of however long it's going to take for us to get to that point.
Oh, you call speed right there. Whoa.
Yeah, speed is what we calculate up here to figure out how long we should take to move to the new location. So before I was just saying, you know, just go there in 1 second because I don't know how to figure that out. But now that we've got this math in here, that we can have this constant speed, so we know exactly how long it's going to take to get to that new point, the new location.
Right. Technically, I think that's time, not speed.
Yeah.
Speed would be 150.
Yeah. That's I remember thinking that to myself. But then I thought, time.
I mean, you could use whatever.
I don't know. I have to think about it some more. But then when we get to, once the delay has finished and we've reached our destination, we stop all actions again to stop the walking animation.
Mm-hmm.
But if I just do that, then I'll stop like mid animation. It'll just stop halfway, through the walking animation. So then I have to start animating again the original like standing, just this hero.png
Mm-hmm.
image, which is
And what's the one in there? What's that?
One is 1 second between frames, but there's only one frame. So I just know it can't be 0 because if it's 0, it doesn't work.
Isn't there a way to just reset the texture?
I don't know. I tried to find that. That's kind of what this Fix Me Up here is for, is to find a better way to handle this.
Mm.
But so anyway, I start a new animation that continues forever, which only has 1 frame of the standing animation.
Right.
But a sequence is, instead of running a single action, you run a sequence of actions. So you can say once we would basically do move to as an action, and once the move to has finished, it runs the next action, which could be to stop all the actions.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually it would be just start this new one.
Yeah, like after it's moved to its location, then to the new location, then animate the new sprite.
Yeah.
Is it, I mean, it's sort of technically like animating itself right here. It's just like constantly refreshing that single frame of that sprite.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty slick. I like it. And you're saying, like, theoretically we could sort of pull out some of these bits and pieces into other actions, like other methods.
Yeah, I would think that, there's a lot of kind of basic stuff in here that we might want to reuse.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe have some character base class or something that we could extend from that
Right.
has all this kind of stuff in it already.
Yeah.
Like that, things like calculating this distance, it could be utility method or something instead of
Right.
having to define it here.
That's a pretty relevant thing. Like I'm in this position, like click another position, like what's the distance between those?
Yeah. So I was thinking one of the next things I want to figure out how to do is like have this character collect some object, like collect a coin to get a point or pick up some object. Ultimately, my goal is to have them pick up a coconut so that they can throw the coconut. So,
I like that. You want to go with coconut?
Yeah, well, my game that I've been working on is called Coconut Island.
Ooh, okay.
It's like a massively multiplayer dodgeball with coconuts.
Whoa. And so pick up a coconut and throw a coconut.
Yep. So it's like once you walked over a coconut, you would pick it up, and then the next time you clicked or tapped, it would throw the coconut in whatever direction that was.
Okay. I like that. Is this have you pushed this up to the repo?
That's a good question. I have, but yes, I'm almost positive. I remember submitting some pull requests and merging
Nice. Oh, I got that Pythagorean theorem in there. Sweet. Some basic math, Eli. Come on.
Well, the only thing I haven't added is this code comment.
Yeah, wait till you see this one.
What the?
Yeah, Dan gave me this.
What is it?
This is instead of a simple left and right, this is a north, south, east, and west. So if you're heading north, facing direction here will be north. So it's based on this angle. This
wow. Okay, so
I don't even know what a tan is.
Yeah, what's a tan? What's a tan 2, Dan?
That's a pop quiz. Arctangent squared, I think, or
wait, what is it? Arctangent?
Yeah.
I figure one day I'll need this, so I've left it in here. The other thing you can do that I haven't explored yet is instead of creating these individual images, of actually creating a sprite sheet and some information for pulling out the sprites from a single sprite image. Because right now I've got all these individual images, 4 different images for the walking animation.
Right.
But
is there some way where you make kind of like those big sheets of like web icons where it's just like one giant sheet and it just shows a small piece of it?
Yep.
Yeah. There's actually a lot of functionality in Cocoa Studio to deal with those. Those sprite sheets. There's a
speaking of a sprite sheet where it's like it's all of the walking positions. It's like holding a thing in walking positions. It's like all the stuff.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So there's an app you can get for the Mac called Texture Packer.
What's it called?
Texture Packer.
Texture Packer.
I'll look it up.
Oh my gosh, this is exciting.
I remember seeing, yeah.
Whoa.
I'm coming across this in some sort of tutorial.
Download Texture Packer.
So
downloading.
So you just basically put a bunch of images in a list, and then it creates a texture image for you. And there's all kinds of different formats that it supports. And of course, to get the one that you want, you probably have to pay for it.
Of course.
Oh, this is interesting. Oh, yeah. So it's like, yes, I'm using Cocos 2D.
Yep.
This is cool. Nice.
Yeah, it's actually a really nice app.
This is a cool resource right here.
And then the other ones they have are pretty cool too. There's a physics app, and then Sprite. Yeah, I'm not sure if we can use the physics editor with the Box 2D engine. I mean, it's meant for Box 2D, but I don't know if we can also get it done in Motion Game or not. I haven't played it.
Yeah, it says Cocos 2D for sure.
So hopefully that should work. And then this one's really cool.
Sprite Illuminator?
Yeah, you just give it like a flat image, and then it gives you like a illuminated version of that. And that works with Cocos 2D, I think.
Whoa. Adds bevel, adds emboss.
Yep.
It's pretty slick.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Just the tip of the iceberg here, boys.
Yeah.
Just the tip of the iceberg. Oh my gosh.
So,
well, do you want to continue with Motion Game?
Yeah, I mean, what you have some other fun stuff?
I don't have anything necessary. we could like continue implementing some of this functionality, or
Yeah.
if you don't want to, if you want to talk about something else, we can.
I'll just mention briefly, the last thing that I was trying to add to Motion Game, most of my friend Tristan was working on it, was some way of getting a text box in there. And apparently there's...
Like you can have a pop-up with like information from the game or something like that.
Yeah. There's two different ways to do it in Cocos 2D. And one of them we think supports a cursor, like the native cursor, so you can like paste and things like that on iOS. And I'm just it looks normal on Android as well. But we couldn't get those to work quite right. It involved obviously going into Motion Game and adding the hooks into the Cocos 2D code. So I'm not sure where we ended up with that. But.
Yeah. Yeah, Andrew, that might be another. Well, I don't know if your game would require it, but that would be kind of a cool kind of next step of like maybe you go to a person or you go to a thing and then like tapping on it like has some information about it, or like kind of classic RPG style, like you go to a person and they just like kind of start talking at you.
Yeah.
You know. Like
yeah, there's basically some basic
lines.
collision detection.
Yeah. I was, what was it? I think I grabbed the, hold on a second. I think I grabbed the, like that flying example that you sent me. That in Motion Game. Yeah, space game. And it had some interesting collision detection stuff. And there was a lot of interesting stuff. I think this is just from HipByte, is it?
I think so.
Yeah, RubyMotion Motion Game samples. They have like, that's where like the Flappy Bird is, the Hello World, and then the space game. It had some like a bunch of interesting like interesting stuff. Like to start off, it kind of just created this whole space scene, which was like asteroids, this background star stuff. It had these weird P lists. Have you dealt with that at all? Where is that? Resources, stars, P list. Yeah, it looks like XML maybe. It's so strange. It like article. Yeah, like it kind of added the whole background texture of just kind of like random. You're flying through space, you know, and there's like random stars and there's all that kind of stuff. But then there's these asteroids coming at you and you're shooting at them. Have you played around with that sample one yet?
I think I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I looked at
it was. Yeah, it was interesting, and make asteroids appear, collisions. Yeah, it was like, you know, so you have like, it's this like nested loop of like, you have all the asteroids coming, and then you have all the lasers that your ship is shooting out, and it's like this, I think it's a magic method or whatever we get, which is intersects. And it's like, if your ship intersects the other thing, then there's a block and you can do stuff. And there's also, that's where they're updating the score, because it's like if ship laser intersects asteroid, then it plays this explosion sound, which is cool. MG audio play. And then it like, you know, ship, the laser visible and the asteroid visible both equal false, so they both disappear, and then you get a point. And it just It's just straight up like score plus equals 1. And this was kind of a fun part, like when I was talking to my friend, trying to kind of get him going on this sort of thing, and like we're kind of working through some of the stuff and kind of getting it working on our machines and just kind of looking at the code. You know, it was kind of cool, like this little bit where it says like game over if lives equals 0. Like that's actual code. And he was like, okay, yeah, I can figure that out. Game over if life equals 0. Like that was just like the perfect example of like readable code. It was fun.
I think that game programming can be surprisingly simple sometimes. Another thing I was going to mention that I forgot was that there is new API documentation for Motion Game.
Oh, really?
In what way?
Yeah. Start screen share.
Yeah, I was asking about this.
If you scroll down into API reference now goes to rubydoc.info, gems motion games. So before it was like a page on the RubyMotion website that was just outdated. It wasn't getting updated. And rubydoc.info automatically regenerates the documentation for every new version of the gem that's on RubyGems. So,
and is this docs? How is it pulling it?
It's bundled with the gem when it's released to get to RubyGems.
Ooh.
So it pulls out this documentation, HTML. It gets generated. Oops, not over there. Anyway, this is now up-to-date documentation, which is great.
That's awesome.
Before. Now all of those new actions are in here, which kind of pollute the namespace a little bit. But
where should they be?
I think it'd be nice if they were nested under like an action namespace or actions plural.
Okay. I mean, are they all new things?
Like events. Events is a namespace that all the events are collapsed underneath there.
Aren't they all under action?
No, they're subclasses of action.
Oh, I see.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah, those should be nested. I would agree.
So yeah, the class is mg : jump by.
But it's not mg : action : jump by.
Right.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess technically this is correct then.
I think the goal was, or the intention was, to more closely match Cocos 2D, which sets these as like top level class names.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean,
documentation is really, it's really hard to get into.
That's pretty awesome. So what's your next step with your walking around?
Pick something up.
Okay, I would pick something up. I like that. So I think the first step would probably be collision detection, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you keep going down, it's a ways down there. So yeah, asteroids. I love this. Like 15 times do. I just love that. Like,
Yeah.
Just bring on the asteroids. You know.
It doesn't even say where they are. They just add them all to the scene.
Well, no. See, this is. It took me a little while to figure out that this is just like creating all of these sprites. It hasn't even done anything with them yet.
Oh, it stores them in this
Right.
instance variable here.
Yep. So it's just like making them. It's like the lasers, you know?
Ship lasers.
Yeah, it's just like making lasers and getting them ready. And then it says like, background music, lives equals 3, score equals 0, go.
Start update. So this is a game that has an update loop, update method here, which not all games need an update loop.
And what's the sort of the difference? Like why?
So this is like if you want to manually control what happens in each tick, basically, each frame, then you get a delta, which I think is the time since the last tick.
Yeah.
Last frame.
The update method, it needs to be named that, and it's called by motion.
By the, I guess.
Or is this like, is this defined somewhere else?
I think this is an official method that gets called if you defined it on your scene.
And start update as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, it must be start update.
Yeah.
To start using your update method.
They set the windows. Do you do that? That like window size?
Where do you see that?
Like right below the first line of update, it's just like win size equals MG director.
Oh, that's not setting it. That's getting it so that it can
use it
things based on that window size.
Yeah. Yeah, so make asteroids appear, which is cool. Collisions, there we go. Intersects, question mark.
Ship laser intersects asteroid.
That's really cool. I'm assuming that that's for square collision, like square versus square.
What do you mean, like a square object, or?
Yeah, like instead of whatever shape the asteroid is, it's just a square instead.
Yes. Yeah, I would say it's like the sprite itself is technically a square, right? Or like it goes all the way to the border of even the like transparent layers of it.
It could be either one. So there is a collision mask. Huh.
Yeah, I think that Cocos 2D is smart enough to handle that kind of stuff.
Oh, so it kind of ignores
that.
It ignores like the transparent elements of the sprite and just kind of like it is only what you see.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I remember trying to implement that manually on the other game. What was it? Sprite Kit? It was not fun.
Yeah.
It was not fun.
Intersects. That's where that comes from. Inherited from Node.
Okay. Does it? There we go. Isn't that amazing? There's just like nothing. I guess it's just returns true or false.
Yeah. That. I guess I'm wondering if that means I'm going to need to start implementing my own update action here.
Well, so like what
and
happened?
Now I rely on these actions to do the moving and the animations and things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what happens if you go back to the motion game, the code for that space game. So it says like what happens at the end of update, like all the way at the bottom of like this update method that we're in? Is that just like game over if lives equals 0? Looks like it.
This is the end of the update method.
Yeah, so the update method is just like constantly ticking every, multiple times a second, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And at any moment, if any of these things happen, if an asteroid happens to or a laser happens to intersect an asteroid, or your ship intersects an asteroid, I love this. Like, if ship intersects asteroid is visible as false, and then ship blinks 9 times in 1 second.
Uh-huh.
There's no explosion if your ship hits an asteroid. Doesn't look like.
I mean, you could add one.
Like, yeah, maybe. I see a PR in my future. I'm just gonna add. I'm gonna switch explosion large to explosion small when a laser hits an asteroid, but when an asteroid hits a ship, explosion large.
There you go.
I was going to look in the Coco Studio documentation because I know they have some nice guides in here.
So this is what I was talking about with the documentation. We have some version of Coco Studio that isn't the most recent version.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to find documentation for that version somewhere.
The version in Motion game is not the latest version?
Right. It may be now. I haven't looked at Watson's changes, but a few weeks ago it was like several versions behind because he had to make some changes to it to get it to work. I can't remember the exact reasons.
You looking for this this update loop? What are you looking for?
No, I was looking for an example of a sprite coming into contact with something else.
Mm. Yeah, this is like the example documentation. I was talking about the API reference.
So what kind of systems are, like, there's gaming engines that just use, I mean, Cocos 2D is a gaming engine, but there are like other frameworks that just use it straight up, just as is.
What do you mean?
Yeah, it's available to C++ if you're writing a game in C++, or they have some, I think they have 2 different other language implementations, like JavaScript, for example. They've got,
Interesting.
really they don't have code samples in JavaScript, but they've got it so that you can use it in JavaScript.
Huh, okay.
Yep.
Got some sort of JavaScript bindings to the C++ code, which is basically what Motion Game is. It's a
Right.
Motion Game bindings to the C++ library. UI components.
Mm.
Tile map, that's something that I've been interested in implementing at some point.
Yeah, those things are pretty cool
What's
too.
the tile map?
So they're showing you this program called Tiled, which you can get for the Mac.
Yeah.
It lets you import a tile texture and then create a like a map from that.
So each one of these different things is a texture.
Right.
And so you can make these, like, you have like water. But just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's really cool. If you can get that that class to work, though, like that would be the trick, I think, for us.
Mm.
Yeah, it's an interesting format. I'm not sure it's always the right one to use, even if you're doing a tiled game.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're doing a lot of drawing of like levels or areas or things like that, it might make things easier.
Mm-hmm.
On contact begin. That's exactly what I was looking for. I should have looked
There
into it.
we go.
But what is this related to?
So what's the difference between on contact begin and intersects?
One is a callback, and the other one is just like a test.
Yeah. But it's like on contact. Is it just on contact with the current sprite, or like on contact with?
So I think to get that to work, you have to set up what it's looking for collisions for.
Right.
Hmm.
Because each of these, yeah, I remember that. Each of these has a physics box attached.
Whoa.
I think it's the category mask.
Category mask, yep.
Right. So that controls what the contact is.
And contact mask. Contact mask.
Maybe that's
bird. So if the bird collides with the ground, then it triggers the contact.
There you go. So that's some sort of like, it's just an integer.
Mm-hmm. Now this is a little confusing to me. There's
actually
callback here. We get this one callback to handle all collisions, and in this case, there's only one. Like the bird hits something it's not supposed to.
Yeah.
But what if there are two different things? I don't know how to differentiate them.
Right. I feel like that's where you use intersects, to be honest, because that's like the asteroid is like, there's a bunch of asteroids and a bunch of lasers, and they could all hit at different times.
So this is just on the game scene.
Yeah.
Okay, see those numbers there?
These ones?
Yeah.
No, these ones up here.
Right. So if you had a bunch of different things flying around,
yeah.
you could have them have different collision rules based on these numbers. Right. So like you might have an enemy bird or something, and you want the bird to collide with the world and the enemy bird, but you don't really care if the enemy bird collides with the world or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what those masks are for. You can add them to like do bitwise operations and add them together.
So I guess I'm wondering if how can I use some sort of callback approach like this, but say like I pick up a coin versus I run into an enemy.
Right.
Two different things should happen based on what type of collision it is.
It's possible that that method might have might pass some arguments into the block.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can we find on contact begin in there?
Yeah, let's figure it out. Scene.
Ooh, on accelerate.
Hey, there you go. Accelerometer events.
There we go.
Debug physics.
On contact begin. Starts listening for contact begin events from the physics engine.
Events, physics, contact. Then block will be yield when a contact event is received from the physics engine.
So maybe you can pass in like event, and then you can kind of specify like different events or something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think
that's kind of how we're handling these touch events.
Yeah. I feel like that physics contact object will indicate which two objects are colliding.
Mm-hmm.
If you dive into it.
Is there a way to get more info out of that? Or is that all we get?
Fortunately, physics contact is not one of the documented types here.
Let's see.
We can find it. Source. Is there a scene? It's be a motion game. What was it? Events, physics, contact. Layer.
Whoa.
Motion game scene is a Cocos 2D layer.
Hmm.
On contact begin.
Ooh.
So it accepts a block.
Oh.
It retains the block.
Yeah, event listener physics contact. That's interesting. So
It's a listener.
Yeah, so like that on contact begin, that's what it said in the motion game documentation, is that like begins this listener that's just kind of sitting there, just like always waiting for a contact. Hmm.
Scripting. Physics.
Just don't run away.
Funny.
All right. Your needs might be simple enough that you don't need a physics engine. Perhaps a combination of using a node object's update function, rect objects, and a combination of contains point or intersects rect functions might be enough for you.
Yep.
That's sort of what we're talking about.
There you go, contact listener.
Oh yeah, there it is. Got a contact listener.
So what is it? Does it pass anything in? That's the question.
Does what pass what in?
Does the on contact begin? Is that like? Is there any arguments to that, or anything that like you get anything after it?
On contact begin is a method that we call which accepts a block, and that block that we pass. And here it's not specifying any block arguments that we accept, but the block argument that it returns is this physics contact, which is a Cocos 2D physics contact.
Right.
Apparently.
And so then, so you have like, is there something that we, like, do we have the contact? Like what, can we pass anything into that block?
Well, we'll get that physics contact back. I'm guessing that physics contact will have some information on it.
How do we call it? Or how do we like I don't see that of like how it is referenced within the block, you know?
Well, it's just an object. I don't know what you can do with it, but yeah, I agree with Andrew. I think somewhere in there you can see a list of colliding sprites. Because there might be more than one collision.
Yeah, because it's like physics contact, and then it says contact, like that, like the instantiation of this event, physics contact, you know?
So I'm guessing we're going to get this raw object back. Not sure how well we're going to be able to interact with it.
You have to look at the API reference, I think.
Well, I think this is an example here with physics contact,
Mm-hmm.
and it's saying get shape A, get body, get shape B, get body.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess what I was wondering is if you could use this approach and
Have multiple objects of different types contacting and have different results from that.
yeah, like we could figure out which, like we could get
Right,
the
it
class
could be that
names
it's
out of these or
contact.
something somehow.
I think it's probably, if the event is just for 2 sprites, then it's probably calling that event for every collision.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think so. And I think there's potentially times where like 2 things are contacting each other at exactly the same time. And I think you get all of that. I think it says that it returns contacts.
Yeah, I don't know what the order is though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, tags. I remember reading about that. So
that's what those numbers are, I think.
So I think each of our sprites, our nodes, we can tag them with some identifier
Mm-hmm.
so that we can get that tag to be like, if this node is a good thing, then add some points. If it's a bad thing, take away points.
Right. Yes, I like that.
Can you go back to the motion game code?
Yes. This one?
No, the other one.
Documentation here?
No, the actual game.
Oh, this one?
Okay, so besides setting is that the category mask that they're talking about? The tag?
No, I think that's a totally separate thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if we have access to it yet.
So this code was based on an example, I'm pretty sure, from a Sprite kit. And I think they're doing the same thing there, too. I'll see if I can find the talk on that.
So Andrew, you're thinking that if you don't have this like update block, then you can use the onContact begin.
Sorry, say that again.
So in that example of the space game, they had the update method, and the idea is like maybe you define that and maybe you don't.
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid it if I don't have to.
Because they've got this start update here, so I think if like you don't have an update, it just sort of does some stuff automatically for you.
Well, they have another
Well,
update
they got
down
it.
here.
Yeah, look at that.
Which at some point we'll probably need to implement it, but trying to start with like what's the simplest thing we can do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we should try to implement a onContact begin method, a callback here.
Oh, whoops! This is when it's just about to get interesting, and I gotta go, boys.
So I found the talk. You can watch this later. That's Sprite Kit, obviously, but he's talking about collision versus contact and what the masks mean. I think it's the same terminology.
Ooh, okay, hold on. Where did that go? Let's see that again. Oh, it's in the chat. There it is. Okay.
That's from a RubyMotion conference too, so it's all RubyMotion.
Ooh. Okay, cool. All right, I gotta go. Thanks, Andrew. This was awesome. I like this as in the future, as remote meetups is pretty cool. So
once we work through the kinks a little bit.
yeah, this is good. We figured it out. So have a good night, y'all.
Yeah, you too.
All right. See ya.
SK Fun. Was this from the? I feel like I've seen this before.
Possible. It was the San Francisco conference.
Inspect. Yep. I remember that.
Were you there?
No, I wasn't. But I remember watching this video afterwards.
Yeah, it's one of the best talks that year, I think.
And now that I'm here looking at this, I remember that that other game engine that was really cool that first came out. I think it used Cocoa Studio, but it only supported iOS.
Right.
Gamebox? No.
Joybox or something?
Joybox, yeah. Joybox.io. So me and one other person, we bought the domain name because it had.
Oh, really?
This project was basically abandoned, you know.
I know.
Lost.
I was trying to use it.
Yeah. But man, their website was so great. Like, such a good website and documentation. And that, I remember they had these really good guides.
Yeah.
I was going to look here and see if it had an example of that collision detection.
Yeah, there's been so many iterations of trying to do this in the last few years. I think motion game is the right way to go, having looked at all of them. But
yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I don't think that this one is going to get working again anytime soon, but
I just mean
nice if maybe we could lift some of the design or organization of their documentation site.
Yeah, exactly. Terminology is all getting jumbled in my head from looking at all of them.
Uh-huh. Anyway, I think I wanted to try implementing a on contact begin. I'll probably split this out into its own example, or its own scene, so that we can keep these separate. But for now, physics contact. I need something to come into contact. Maybe I'll just create some stationary thing.
Can you add collision to a draw object? Is that like does that create a sprite?
I think it creates a node. Let's see, draw. Wait, where'd that come from? MG draw. Yeah, it extends from node.
Okay. You got intersects there, so that's a good sign.
Yeah. Search for one. One being white, I think. All right, let's see if that does what I hope it will do. First, we'll see if it shows up in the right place. I suppose I could have tried adding it using the REPL.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. All right. So I'm going to try to make it do something if I walk into the light. Now to make this work, we need to set some physics stuff here. Start with contact mask because I know that's going to be.
I think you might have to do all those things.
Yeah. Contact mask equals. I don't really understand this syntax here.
Bit shifting. So it's like 1 to the power of 2. Or something. it's like, you know, 1. So bird is just the number 1. World is going to be in the number 2 because it's shifted over to the left. In binary.
Yeah. So yes.
It's an old C trick. Seems like we used it everywhere in C.
The category mask is what type of
Right.
thing this exists in, and then the contact mask is what we're going to come into contact with.
That's right. So I think you need to add the hello. There you are.
Can you hear me, Dan?
Yep.
Okay. It says your network connection is experiencing some difficulties.
That'd be amusing if the snow stopped the online meetup.
Yeah. Screen sharing failed to start. No session to start screencast with. Retry. I guess I'm going to try refreshing again. Maybe that'll work.
Okay. Looks good.
So far, so good. All right, desktop to start screen share. All right. I think you're starting to tell me that I was missing something else.
Yes, I think you need to add those 2 lines.
The attached physics box and dynamic false.
Right. So the first one sets up physics for the sprite so that it works at all. And then the dynamic equals false means that it's not subject to gravity or other movement manipulations, I think.
But we can play with it and find out. I guess we could also look in the documentation.
Yeah, don't trust me. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Let's see. Assuming these are documented. No. Apparently they're not.
See if it works at all first.
No. All right, what happened here? No method error.
Attached physics box.
Attached physics box.
Maybe that was a custom thing.
On MG draw. So maybe it's actually not. Yeah, attaching the physics box is probably only on the sprite. Category mask, collision mask. All right, so we can't use MG draw. We will use another character. But instead of hero, it's going to be that guy. This one. Oh, way down there. I didn't actually position that one this time.
Well, it's in. I
removed the position part of that because it was defined on the other one. Now let's see what happens when we get here. Nothing. Go back.
Yeah,
Maybe it needs to be positioned somewhere better.
I was just thinking about this. Maybe the collision isn't detected if we just move the sprite by move to. That might not make sense. I don't know. Right, because like in Flappy Bird, there's like a gravity component. I don't know. If you go look at the Flappy Bird code for a second, let me know with that.
Flappy Bird.
So the ground is not dynamic, but the bird is. Right, because that.
Yeah, that doesn't even mention dynamic on there, so that must not be necessary. Dynamic must be
Oops. Yeah, I'm not sure why. I think that should have worked. The dynamic really just means that it's, like I said, it subject to physics movement.
we might make our bad guy dynamic false.
Yeah.
Our character is dynamic because we're moving it.
It's probably some more.
What? Well, that's not what I expected. But
I gave that like a 20% chance of happening.
let's watch it again. So
Right, because there's like a constant acceleration that you can change. You can set that somewhere, but
yeah,
by default, I think you get gravity.
that's funny. I wonder. Let me try this without physics box.
Could be.
Sprite. Where was the add physics box? Attach physics box. Attaches a physics body with a box shape to the sprite. Size defaults to nil.
Oh, that's interesting. That could be why it didn't collide. The size is nil.
Does not have a physics body.
Yeah, so you need that. But I think you should pass it a size as well. I don't know. What do they do in Flappy Bird?
They don't specify.
That's interesting.
I think it's based on the size of the initial sprite. But how do we get around the gravity part of it? We should look at a different sample. This one doesn't use the physics body stuff. It uses the intersects method.
Yeah. That's what that big warning in the physics documentation was saying.
Yeah.
Do you really need this?
Well, maybe we should go back and see, add components, physics body. I have a feeling there's different kinds of physics that we want to apply to our world, because gravity, I'm guessing our physics world has a global gravity, but we don't want gravity in our world because we're not that kind of game.
Well, so I think that we can just do this with setting both of them to dynamic equals false. The question is, why didn't that collide? Like, so setting dynamic equals false is like you put an immovable object in the physics screen, right? If they're both dynamic, and even if you set the gravity to nothing and they collide, they're going to bounce off each other, which is not really what you want either. Or
so
I think by default that's what happens.
I think that this might work because the reason it didn't work before, it was an unrelated error. It wasn't even something. All right. Oh, and the scale is, I didn't copy over the scale equals 2, so it's small.
That works. You won't get confused. Nope.
Interesting.
Can I see the masks again? Are those set right? Category mask dot. That's why you need to swap them on one of them.
Okay.
I think you were intending the other way around, but that should work.
Did I make a mistake?
Hello. Says your mic is muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Can you see me now?
Nope. There we go.
Seems like Google Hangouts is having a little bit of an issue. Having a hard time keeping up with us.
It's all the snow.
Yeah. All right, so it finished compiling. It's up and running, and I think it's going to work this time.
Excellent.
That's my guess. What?
Wait, so what did you do? It cut out when you were changing.
Oh, that I had copied and pasted these so that they were the same in both of the characters. So they had the same category in the mask and the same contact mask. So I switched one of these.
Yeah, that looks right.
Maybe I even need to switch these numbers.
No, I think that's correct. Something else is wrong. I swear, I think it's the size of the physics box. That would be my guess. Just because the documentation said nil. Did it actually say it would take the size of the sprite by default?
Yeah. If you specify nil, it'll base it on the size of the sprite.
Okay, leave them right there, and then set one of them in the REPL. Try to set one of them to dynamic equals true.
Isn't that what caused it to drop off the screen?
Yeah, but it should collide first if that's the problem.
I'm not sure how I can get a reference to one of these here, so I'll have to specify that. The constant. Okay.
I do this all the time in RubyMotion, and I wish there was like a better way of doing it.
Yeah. Well, if there was a live reload feature, then wouldn't be so concerned with just going and changing the code.
No, I just mean like I have these references to variables that I want to inspect in the REPL all over the place, just because going in and adding it for every time you want to use it is too annoying.
Yeah. Bad guy.
I can feel the tension.
All right, what we're going to do, dynamic is true.
Yep.
Oops. Go back. Bad guy, dynamic equals true.
There you go.
Came into contact. And it didn't move. Hey, look at that. So, interesting. Well, it's gonna work if I do it this way now.
Technically, I think the way this is intended to work is the thing doing the moving should be dynamic. So the bad guy, since it's just sitting there, wouldn't be dynamic.
Wouldn't be dynamic?
Right.
Because we set it to true.
I mean, yeah, there it goes. It doesn't actually matter just to see how this example is working, but in Flappy Bird, for example, the ground and the pipes are all dynamic equals false. They're the immovable objects. And then the Flappy Bird is dynamic equals true.
And in this case, it was the opposite. It made it work.
But you still collide in Flappy Bird even if you're not moving down. As the screen moves to the left, it will collide into the pipe, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think the gravity component is not necessary. You can turn it off.
We can turn it off.
You can set it somehow. I don't know how.
Yeah. I think that's what we got to figure out. Walk up. No, I can't even get there.
No.
Can't walk fast enough.
What happens if you make it move straight up?
You can't move straight up.
No, I mean like
The gravity's too much.
oh.
Go. Oh.
Yeah, I think we should fix that.
So any documentation on the physics world?
You were just looking at it, I think. The other screen?
You mean this one?
Yeah.
Well, this is, you can create a scene that contains a physics world. Physics
Right.
world on a scene. Let's see if scene has anything like that.
Nope.
I don't know what this is, but I'm gonna say debug physics equals true.
I think that's the little box. You're looking at the documentation a few minutes ago. There's like a little box around all the characters as they're bouncing around.
Ah. Start listening for contact again. Gravity. It's a read only. Returns a point.
It's a vector.
A vector. Interesting.
It must not be exposed, or at least I guess it's not documented.
Well, what happens? Where are we? I'm going to look for gravity. Oh, here it is. Scene gravity. Scene get physics world get gravity.
Scene
Oh,
gravity.
there is a gravity set. It's just not documented. NE2 CC vec2. Yeah, what do we pass? Is our gravity equals 0? I don't know if that's going to work.
Is that how it's defined? Is it even defined in Ruby?
It's defined here. There's a gravity
Well,
set.
that's the function, but is the function exposed?
Oh, yeah, I guess I have to look down here.
There you go. Gravity equals. Okay. So what do you think that format is for the argument?
Well, I'm not sure. It's converting any argument we pass to it as a CC vec2.
I guess you could try like 2-element array, maybe.
Yeah, I think that if it takes a point, since it returns a point, maybe we can simulate something similar.
That's not good.
Expected array or point. Yeah. Well, let's try an array. 0, 0. Hey,
Looking good.
good so far.
There you go. That's awesome.
Sweet. The
Why is it
so
no?
yeah, that was my next question. Contact event should not be nil. It should be something. Because our callback on contact begin, maybe this was where we're calling it, and maybe it's 0 or null. I don't know which it is. Maybe it's just not receiving anything useful.
That is probably correct.
I'm here.
Okay. So yeah, I think
Where
you're
did
right.
it cut out this time?
What's that?
I said, when did it cut out this time? What was the last thing you heard?
Oh, you were saying that the block isn't actually receiving an argument.
Yeah,
So
I see that it's defining its own callback here. It's defining this contact object, but then it's not being passed to this RB block call.
yeah.
But I'm not sure how to pass this. Maybe this is just something we need to report as a bug and hope that Watson can implement for us.
That's the easiest way for us. I think what needs to happen is that class doesn't exist yet, right? So there's a way of
the
passing.
wrapper for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Build the class and then build the wrapper.
Mm-hmm.
Or the conversion. This has been pretty good example of how going beneath the surface in motion game happens.
Yeah.
You end up with these situations like, oh, that should work. And to fix it, I need to write C.
Mm-hmm. I'm learning more about that process as I dig more into this. But anyway, you're still there?
So there is a way around this, though, in Ruby land.
What's that?
If you put all your objects into an array and then just inspect the array on contact begin, it's obviously not as performant.
How would you do that?
So this is a simple example. You only have 2 characters. So basically add those characters to some array, and then in that callback, check each sprite to see if it's in contact with another object in the array.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Well, we've got bad guy.
Yeah, it'd be nice if it was free, but
Hero was it intersects?
Yep.
All right, now I'm going to have two other sprites, a good one and a bad one. And
Yeah, I think this will
if
work.
all goes well, then we should be able to tell which one will be the right one. This one should be the good one. Bad guy false, good guy true. Bad guy true, good guy false. All right, works. That's awesome.
So good progress.
Yeah. Well, I think that'll solve this problem.
Yeah, so the only problem is that when you have a lot of different things, doing this dot intersects is probably going to slow the frame rate down, I think.
Yeah.
But not a big deal.
But it would only matter if there were a lot of things coming into contact with each other.
Yeah.
Because this only gets called when something comes into contact.
There's also simultaneous contact. I'm not sure how this will handle that, but those are hard problems for another day.
Yeah. Well, I think now's a good time to break.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Thanks for joining me for an online meetup.
Yeah, thanks for hosting it. That was good.
We'll have to think about what we want to do next time.
Yeah. Yeah, there are actually a number of people that said they might show up this month.
Yeah, I know.
We'll meet up, but snow ruined everything. So
yeah.
Anyway. All right, Andrew. It's good to see you.
All right, good to see you. Have a good night.
Take it easy.
See ya.